Aloha and good afternoon, everybody. It is 1 p.m. on Thursday, April 30th, and I call the Committee on Public Safety and Economy meeting to order. I would like to welcome Committee Vice Chair Kia Aina, Council Members Nishimoto and Okimoto. Pursuant to Section 92-3.7 Hawaii Revised Statute, this meeting will be conducted as a remote meeting by interactive conference technology. With the following procedures in effect for the meeting, members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony on all items on the agenda in person in the council chamber and remotely when each item is taken up. As both English and the Hawaiian language are official languages of the state of Hawaii pursuant to Article 15, Section 4 of the Hawaii State Constitution, Section 1-13 of the Hawaii Revised Statute, members of the public may testify in either language. For oral testimonies offered in Olelo, Hawaii, additional time may be necessary. Will be allowed for the testifier to provide an English translation of their testimony. Before testifying, each person shall state their name. Each speaker may not have anyone else read their statement and is limited to a 1-minute presentation on each item. All persons who have registered to testify in person will be called upon first. When the timer goes off, please conclude your remarks promptly. Persons who have not registered will be given an opportunity to testify following the registered testifiers. Once in-person testimony has concluded, I will proceed to remote testimony. All persons who have registered to testify remotely by video conference or telephone will then be called upon. When your name is called, please monitor your screen and activate your audio feed when prompted. For persons who are testifying by telephone only, I will identify you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. When your number is called, please listen for the prompt to unmute and press *6. When I call for anyone else standing by remotely, please utilize the Zoom raise hand button to indicate your desire to speak. For those joining us by telephone only, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. So friendly reminders and tips: video conference from a quiet location if possible. If you're also watching the proceedings on Olelo, please mute your television and when you're called to testify. When the timer on the screen reaches 0, please conclude your remarks promptly. HRS Section 92-3.7 requires all votes at remote meetings be conducted by roll call unless unanimous. Therefore, our first call for objections, and if there are any, I'll call a roll call vote. Written testimonies, including the testifier's email address and phone number, will be available to the public as described on the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off all cell phones for the duration of the meeting. We'd like to welcome Councilmember Tulba to the chamber. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 1 for action, Resolution 2659. The resolution confirms the appointment of Richard Bryce to serve on the Fire Commission of the City and County of Honolulu. Members, I posted an agenda, a proposed CD1 submitted by myself. For your information, a summary of the amendments is listed on the agenda. And I believe Richard is here. Would you like to say a few words?
Afternoon. I appreciate the opportunity to come again and sit in on this meeting. I had a chance to talk with some of you. I'm very much looking forward to jumping on board, helping out and accomplishing some faster, better, cheaper results in the processes. So, ready when you are.
Members, you have questions? Councilmember Okimoto.
Thank you, Chair. Aloha and good afternoon. Well, I had some questions, if that's okay. I don't believe I was one that was able to meet, and I checked with my office, and I didn't see a meeting request. So hopefully we can schedule something so I can sit down and meet with you offline. Thank you so much for being willing to serve in this voluntary capacity. I did look over your background, and there's a wealth of experience and knowledge, it seems. But I did have some questions on the sheet that we do have for the nominee appointee form. The main question that was asked towards the end was, what do you understand to be the prime duties of your county appointment? And this, if I'm correct, is for the Fire Commission, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So I just wanted to expand on that a little bit more, because your answer said, I believe as a board member, we will listen and act upon issues brought to us. They may range from construction issues to disciplinary action and budgetary concerns. And so I was just, it puzzled me because I don't understand that to be the main focus of the Fire Commissioner. So if you could explain that to me, that would be really helpful.
Sure. So do any of those things not fall under the purview of the Fire Commission in one way or another?
Well, maybe you can explain to us, what do you understand? Is that what you understand it to be?
through my conversations with different people in the city and county organization, those are some of the tasks that would fall, something that I would be more geared towards that do fall under their purview, yes.
Construction.
We will be building new construction, new fire stations, repairing, remodeling existing stations, all those types of things. I don't know of another city department that would oversee that or is better suited to oversee that than the fire commission.
Yeah, so I think that's where I'm kind of confused. Maybe we could talk offline about this. The main purpose of the fire commission, the commissioners are to evaluate the fire chief. And you hire and you fire the fire chief. I don't think that the in and out operations of the fire department is what the commission actually does, but maybe I'm wrong, and I could have a different conversation offline with you. I just want to make sure that as we go through the process, you're understanding what the expectations are, and we are as well, and we're using you and your expertise in the right areas. That was my main thing. Another question I had was, how long have you been here? It seems like you were kind of in and out of Hawaii for over the last couple of decades. You've been here with Kaiser since last year, and prior to that, you had been out of the state, and then you were here. So I kind of want to know what your experiences and your knowledge is of Hawaii and of Oahu and our cultures here.
Sure, fair question. So both sides of my family, paternal and maternal, both have roots to the 1940s here in Hawaii. My father was raised here. My grandmother was here through Pearl Harbor. I have a lot of history here. I brought my family out here to raise them in 2012, and we were doing just fine. We did decide to take leave of Hawaii during COVID. We went to let our kids finish school and do some things that they weren't able to do here in the state. So that did take us away. Once those things were done, our children were raised and kind of on their own, we decided to come home, and now we're raising our grandchildren here. So my roots do go about as deep as one can without having been born and raised here. And I don't think you'll find somebody as dedicated in my position to cultivating a give back type of lifestyle to the state, the city, the county, the people here. I think that there's a lot more we could be doing and should be doing, whether you're raised here or not. And that's really my only intention.
I completely agree. I just kind of want to understand, I noticed that it was just last year that you were able to return. So a lot's happened since, especially since COVID. And I'm going to take a page out of Committee Vice Chair's book. She often asks, and I'm going to ask this question, how were you approached? Were you the one that approached, or how did you hear about this appointment or this position on the commission?
Well, I think anybody involved on any level with paying attention to what's going on can see there's room for improvement across the board, no matter what department. I was approached to help out. You know, there are individuals that thought my expertise would be of value to the Fire Commission. There's a couple other departments that I have been introduced to. Some of them aren't going to work out because of conflicts of interest, so I will be staying away from those. But I think this is one area. And there are a couple others that I've expressed interest in chasing after to see if I can't be of help in those areas. But again, I don't have any agenda outside of making things better than they are now.
So in this case, the administration approached you, or you had friends contact you and you volunteered?
Yes, so I was approached by a sitting council member and, commissioner, board commissioner, and they came to me and asked if I would be interested in, and I, of course, accepted that.
Oh, thank you. And we always appreciate, we know this is voluntary, so we appreciate those who put themselves out there. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Members, any question? Councilmember, okay. All right, we'll move on to in-person oral testimony in the council chambers. Clerks, do we have any in-person testifiers?
Chair, there are none.
What, online?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, members, we are in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you, Chair. I did meet with Mr. Bryce, and I believe he is my constituent, so I am excited. I did have a vast conversation about his background. As you know, in each of our commissions, there's a lot of varying backgrounds in the commissioners, which is helpful, but it also sometimes steers commissions in different directions. So we'll lean on Debbie Elenecki, who's the chair right now, to kind of guide, because I think the important thing for the Police Commission is budget oversight, administration. There is, community engagement that we rely on the boards to do, strategic planning and resource management. But again, from board to board, it kind of depends on how the chair leads and how the commissioners participate. So with that being said, I hope that your skill set and that the advocacy for the area that you live in can be done, because I think that's always advantageous, because if we have commissioners from different sides of the island, west side, central, north shore, balanced conversations will help us to know how we can better serve the public. So in support. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Okay, The chair recommends the resolution 2659 be reported out for adoption. Any discussion? Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. The chair recommends the resolution 2659 be amended to the posted CD1 identified as OCS 2026-2045. Any discussion? Any objections? Any reservations? The resolution is amended to a CD1. The chair recommends the resolution 2659 CD1 be reported out for adoption. Any discussions, any objections, any reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 2, resolution 2680. This resolution accept a gift of cash in the amount of $3,000 to the city from Barbara Hudman to be used to support the Department of Emergency Services. Members, we have posted to the agenda a proposed CD1 submitted by myself. For your information, a summary of the amendments is listed on the agenda. And here, from Department of Emergency Services, Shane Enright.
Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for having me. Shane Enright here for Director Ireland, and here to accept the $3,000. Very excited about this, actually, because in next month is National Emergency Medical Services Week, where we're going to show our recognition to our hardworking paramedics and EMTs, and we plan to use this money to buy them some bentos and just get them some drinks, and just a way for us to say thank you. We can't do that through city funds, but now with this generous donation, we are allowed to do that. So thank you.
Members, any questions? All right. Councilmember Okimoto.
Thank you, Chair. Aloha, good afternoon. Thank you for you answered my first question. What was the money going to be used for? Because nowhere in the communications was that stated. It didn't. It said you guys are getting a gift. I was wondering why Ms. Hudson was unable or wasn't able to return a signed declaration form. It says here that we asked. I mean, it was the staff was her staff was contacted her, and she confirmed the funds would be used, but was unable to return a signed declaration of the gift. What was the reason for that?
She was unable. Sorry,
Yes.
she
Yeah,
was unable. I don't. Honestly, I'd have to go back and check on that. I wasn't provided that information, but that just might be a technicality. So I can get you an answer on that.
Okay. And just to clarify, the $3,000 will be used for bentos and drinks for appreciation.
During EMS week, correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Members, any other questions? Okay. Now proceed to in-person oral testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, we have anyone?
Chair, there are none.
How about online?
There are none.
Okay. Members, we are in discussion. All right. The chair recommends that resolution 2680 be amended to a posted CD1 identified at OCS 2026-0218. Oh, you guys know, OCS 2026. Any discussion, any objections, any reservations? The resolution is amended to a CD1. The chair recommends that resolution 2680 a CD1 be reported out for adoption. Any discussion, any objections, any reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. All right, moving on to our last item on the agenda, informational briefing, wildlife strategy, and preparedness update. Councilmember Kia Aina and I arranged to put together this timely overview in collaboration with representatives from the Honolulu Fire Department, the Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization, the Office of State Fire Marshal, and Hawaiian Electric Company. We hope to bring an important public information as May is National Wildfire Awareness and Prevention Month. And joining us in the council chamber, we have Battalion Chief Keith Ito of the Honolulu Fire Department. We have Elizabeth Pickett from the Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization, Dorothy Booth from the Office of the State Fire Marshal, will be providing a brief presentation for our information, and the presentation will be available as Departmental Communication 281-2026. And joining us in the council chamber, we have Kurt Siu of the Hawaiian Electric Company, who will be providing a brief presentation for your information. The presentation will be available online as Miscellaneous Communication 163-2026. Battalion Chief.
Hi. Hi, good afternoon, Committee Chair, Tulba, Vice Chair, Kiana, and committee members. I'm Acting Assistant Chief Jean-Claude Bish from the Support Services Division. Mahalo for the opportunity for us to provide this update. I have with me, as Chair said, Battalion Chief Paul Chi Wang, Battalion Chief Keith Ito, State Fire Marshal Dory Booth, and Elizabeth Pickett from the Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization. So the city's Wildland Fire Preparedness Work Group was established in October of 2023 under the direction of the mayor, the fire chief of the Honolulu Fire Department, and the director of DEM, Dr. Randall Collins, continue to serve as co-chairs. So the last update we provided was May 2nd of 2024, and today's update is timely as we enter into the summer where wildfire risks increase. On prevention, we continue to partner closely with the Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization to develop a comprehensive wildland fire risk matrix and to engage large landowners and community stakeholders in mitigation strategies. On operations and preparedness, we've expanded training and interagency coordination. Our personnel have completed specialized wildland fire courses through wildfire courses through collaboration with state partners. We are also actively working with public and private stakeholders to identify alternate water sources to both ground and air firefighting operations and evaluating infrastructure and access improvements. We've completed a wildland fire assessment as part of the Oahu Community Wildfire Protection Plan and continue to collaborate with partners on FireWise, community assessments, public outreach, and vegetation management, including efforts with the Department of the Hawaiian Homelands. Technology and innovation are also a focus. We utilize Alert West as an AI-enhanced camera network that provides real-time wildfire detection. This system improves early identification of fire activity and strengthens our overall situational awareness. We are also beta testing N5 fire detection sensors in partnership with the U.S. Fire Administration and HIEMA to enhance early detection capabilities. Finally, we continue strong coordination with key agencies and stakeholders, including the Board of Water Supply on hydrant placement and water resilience, as well as participation in hazard mitigation planning efforts with Hawaiian Electric and other partners. In summary, our work group focuses on prevention, preparedness, and partnership to reduce wildfire risk and improve response capabilities across Oahu. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if you might have.
Okay, members, we can either ask questions now just for the Honolulu Fire Department, or we can wait to all the presentations and you guys can gather your thoughts and then we can, randomly ask questions. How would you like to pursue? Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Yep.
I'm just trying to get some clarification because I do know that after the Maui wildfires, right? The administration, and you explained, you put together a interagency group within the city to look at fire mitigation. Is there no plan? Have you guys, I understand what you're talking about with coordination, and I greatly appreciate it because there's several of the partners here, but have you guys not developed a overall city fire mitigation strategy plan?
Yeah, can any of you answer?
That's what I thought that's what this was about.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, committee members. My name is Keith Ito. I'm the Battalion Chief, Suppression Battalion Chief, and Brush Fire Program Manager. So the city work group, the preparedness work group that the mayor had put out was a plenary working group. So all department heads had to attend.
Yes.
At the very beginning, we really didn't know what we're going about, how we're going to go do it. It took a while, and then at this very moment, it got down to FSRI was the person that, or the entity that had investigated the Lahaina fires. So in the Phase 2 report, it identified 10 state and 10 county priorities. So at the moment, that's what we're addressing. We're trying to address the 10 county priorities. That's a focus of the work group at the moment. I hope I answered part of it.
Yeah, but what are their priorities? And then how come it's not outlined?
Gotcha. For me and the Honolulu Fire Department, it's across the board for the county. For the Honolulu Fire Department, we're looking at mostly community risk assessments. We're looking at evacuation planning and wildfire mitigation efforts, working with large landowners, private and not NGOs. I might want to call Elizabeth Pickett because she would have a better overview of the whole 10 priorities, if that's okay.
Sure, but I just want to make clear what we thought this briefing was about. This briefing was to get an update really on the city's overall fire mitigation strategy, yeah? And then, of course, we greatly appreciate all of the other partner organizations and government organizations that are here today, because we think that's important. But I did think that we were going to get something a little more concrete. But if you would like, I think other council members might have a question first before we move into the other presenters today.
Sure.
Thank you, Councilmember Kiana. Councilmember Tupola?
Aloha HFD, thank you for being here. I guess just to follow up, probably not for today, but if there are 9 priorities and you guys have them written, it would be probably the best if you could send it to us written so that we can review it. I don't think verbally saying it is going to help us all remember it. And then as well, it'll help us to understand, how do we fund your priorities? How do we assist in your priorities? Are there policies that need to be changed? So that's kind of what the briefing was supposed to be about. On the city side, what purview do we have? How do we as council members support you? Because I do believe the rest of the slides are agencies that are not cities. So we appreciate all the, overview of everything together, but we don't have purview in any of their budgets.
Yes. Definitely, understood. We'll get that to you today.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Okay, council members, you guys have any questions, or you guys want to go through the presentations that we do have today? Okay, perfect. All right.
Okay, I'd like to call up State Fire Marshal Dory Booth.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, committee members, members of the public. My name is Dory Booth, the State Fire Marshal, and thank you all for the opportunity to talk about the wildfire planning that has been going on at the county level and how it collaborates with the State Fire Marshal. As Chief Ito had mentioned, with the 10 priorities from FSRI, they do directly overlap with the state's priorities on the newly established Office of the State Fire Marshal, which started last June. Some of the things that we've been working on collaboratively, not only at Honolulu County, but statewide with the other counties. These initiatives are operational priorities to strengthen Hawaii's wildfire readiness, coordination, and prevention capabilities, directly aligning with Act 302 and the FSRI Phase 3 recommendations, as well as the National Cohesive Wildland Fire Management Strategy, moving us towards a more unified and data-driven statewide system. First priority is increased statewide communication. One of the things that we've been working on is we'll be establishing a wildfire cooperators group meeting for operational personnel that eventually, once our fire season picks up, will be weekly. But this meeting is a standing meeting to discuss, to bring together our county, state, federal, and private partners that are combating wildfires in both the prevention as well as operational capacity. Developing consistent operational picture across all islands, ensuring that we're not only engaging during incidents, but maintaining continuous coordination. It also allows us to standardize terminology, reporting expectations, and resource discussions, reducing confusion and improving efficiency during emergencies, ultimately strengthening the relationships and ensuring faster, more aligned decision-making when conditions escalate. The next is improved wildfire tracking through National Emergency Reporting Information System, as well as record management systems. Modernizing reporting allows us for real-time data that gives us a single, credible statewide data set that supports situational awareness and long-term trend analysis, directly feeding into your community wildfire preparedness plans, as well as target areas for reduction and community engagement. Next is wildland fire investigations training and equipment standardization. Building statewide capacity to NFPA standards, National Wildland Coordinating Group standards, meaning that interoperably and interchangeably we'll have the same equipment and same training to ensure that there's standardization across the state. Determining origin and cause is essential for both accountability and prevention, knowing that the majority of our fires are created by human cause, whether intentional or accidental. Investigating these fires helps us again with our targeting and reducing calls. Also alongside is we'll be introducing concepts for wildland urban interface code development, which includes the Insurance Institute for Building and Home Safety, defensible space such as the FireWise programs that other Western states such as Oregon, California have used to help develop their codes. And I know Elizabeth will talk about the FireWise program, which they've rapidly increased the amount of FireWise communities, making us ultimately safer. Finally, we'll talk about the National Fire Danger Rating System to help drive communications across the state outside of those red flag day warnings, where we know that just because it's a red flag, not a red flag day warning, we do know we still have fire hazards daily. This will be able to give not only a visual representation with those days that are less than what red flag days, but we want the public and everybody to be aware that we do have these. So in closing, collectively, these initiatives represent a shift from the reactive response to proactive reduction. They enhance coordination, improve data and intelligence, and strengthen our ability to prevent and prepare the wildfire incidents we see statewide. Thank you for your continued support as we build a safer environment. So pending any of your questions.
Okay, members, do we have any questions for the fire marshal? Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you, Chair. Just briefly, thank you for being here. Welcome to your job. Hope all is well. Just a few thoughts, and I think this is for every group that's going to come today. When we're in these emergencies, and we've talked to DEM about this, it's so important that our communication is clear and concise. I understand we have to have coordination meetings. I understand there has to be intergovernmental working groups. But when that information can't be conveyed clearly, it's for nothing. It's not conveyed clearly to us. It's not conveyed clearly to the public. So in all the meetings, there should be basically a breakdown of, hey, this is great. We understand what's going on. How would we communicate that to the public? So that's the first thing. Because I do think that communication on any of our emergency strategies is kind of in the back when really it should be in the front, because people need to understand it clearly and concisely. Secondly, any policies or funding needed needs to come out of that working group, because it does not matter how many times you guys meet. If you don't have funding to do what you need to do, then it doesn't get done. So we're in the middle of our budget, so it'd be a good time now to discuss what you might need next year. So heaven forbid we keep having working groups without any outcomes. We need like an actual policy or a budget outcome from the working group so that we can engage and kind of support your efforts. I know on the state side, you guys could probably submit to them as well, but I think on the county side, because we're lower down on the ground, it's easier for us to execute things. Don't feel afraid to suggest certain funding be allocated or even just suggested. Sometimes it takes a couple years to get into the budget, but at least if you guys are thinking ahead of time, then we can know that these are priorities that the task force recommended that need to be implemented. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Councilmember Kiaina.
Can I ask, are you the first fire marshal that we've ever had?
Yes, ma'am. So the last person that would resemble a state fire marshal was 1978, and I was an additional duty assigned as someone else.
1978, that was when we had the con for the Hawaii State Constitution. Well, first of all, congratulations, and nice to see Wahine in a leadership position like this. You know, I know that you collaborate with HFD and all of the other partners, but does the state have any oversight role of holding all of the counties accountable in their fire mitigation efforts?
So that's one thing that we are working through with Act 302 is the interpretation of the legalities and the oversight. There is a large oversight on inspection and investigation, certification criteria, and also in addition of helping develop wildfire zones and helping facilitate enforcement. So that's really where we see the office and how it was designed is to be a hub and a resource, not necessarily a regulatory person over the individual county agencies.
Okay, but having said that, you would concur that it's good to see some uniformity in the manner of how each of the counties are strategizing, correct?
Yes, that is a large lift of the bill is to.
And I guess I would like to tell you that I see your role as ensuring that that is done,
Yes.
as opposed to, just collaborating. So I just wanted to make that clear. I wanted to talk about private landowners, and I need to express to the chair and to all of you that I am very disappointed that the Kamehameha schools, who were invited to be here, they didn't say that they couldn't come, they declined. And the reason I'm saying this is that they own 1/10 of all of the land in the Hawaiian Islands. And I believe that because, a fire doesn't say, okay, I'm just going to go to the government lands. I'm not going to go to the private lands, right? And as a result of that, I feel that overall collaboration must include our private landowners. On the windward side, I have a lot of private landowners. So my question to you is, how important is fire mitigation strategies being undertaken by a lot of our large landowners, including the Kamehameha schools?
So I don't know the reason for their declination for today, but I do and can attest that they are hosting a lot of large landowner groups, which includes Kamehameha schools, our ranchers, in different meetings. I think the next one's in a few weeks. So they have embraced the large land management as well as trying to make things better. Kamehameha schools is also, in addition to those meetings, they're installing several more Alert West cameras to help with that early fire detection, as well as investing in landscape mitigation and providing test plots of land for different types of green space, green breaks, and fire breaks to help us. So they are very much part of the conversation.
Yes, but okay, just putting aside Kamehameha schools, you acknowledge that the role of private landowners is critically important, correct?
Yes.
So the reason I asked you that is because the overall intention of this was not just to find out what you guys are doing, it's to educate our communities so that they know what is going on and also to increase their own capacity to safeguard their homes. And that is not just with government agencies, it's with the private sector and it's with private landowners. So while I appreciate it, I don't believe private landowners should be living in their own bubble and talking to each other. I think they should be transparent and they should be able to come to forums like this, so not to only inform us, but to inform the general public. Because I have to tell you right now, a lot of communities, they are scared because it's not just the large fires, it's a fire that could hit somebody's home in a neighborhood and impact the neighboring homes. So they just need to know what's going on by the government and the various stakeholders overall, and then also how they can help themselves. And my last question, I guess, is because you are the first, can you maybe identify the biggest challenge you perceive with regard to your role and how, whether it be the legislature or our respective counties, could help you with your job?
I think one of the biggest challenges is going to be staffing. And initially, I got an initial staff, but we're working to make sure that we do this right, knowing that it's kind of challenging to change position descriptions once they get into the government system, but also being able to get a training pipeline to help network local talent from zero experience all the way to the top will be helpful. And then as we progress through, getting pathways for our county employees to be able to lateral over, or retire out of the county system and come to the state when they still have some gas in the tank. And I know there's some restrictions and with the retirement systems that I'm not fully versed on, but I do know there's challenges when it comes to that, because I know there's a lot of folks that have just retired out of the system statewide that I would love to bring on as staff, but because of those restrictions, they're very hesitant. So being able to bring local talent in, both experienced and unexperienced, is going to be one of those pipelines that we really want to work on, and helping develop them from even elementary school on, because if we wait until high school to start these career developments, we're too late. Kids are moldable at 3 now. They know more about a cell phone than I do. So we've got to get in those trades types positions as well as public safety very early into the classrooms.
Awesome. Anybody else with questions? On a side note, Kamehameha Schools did meet with me, and I notified Councilmember Kiaina, and is open to meeting with every single council member if requested. Okay.
And I appreciate that, Chair. But for me, that's not the challenge. The challenge is when we have hearings like this, it's so that we could help in educating in a public fashion what important stakeholders in the state are doing. And I'm just saying that with regard to overall mitigation strategy cannot be done by government and private sector alone, right? The companies, it has to include our large private landowners because they control so much acreage. And the State Department of Land and Natural Resources, of course, is another significant landowner. And I'm assuming as with your job, you deal with all of the various agencies. And so I'm assuming that one of your biggest kuleana is to deal with the policies in place at the Department of Land and Natural Resources. But thank you for your comment, Chair.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have 2 years, Councilmember Kiana. Maybe by the time we leave, we can get everyone here answering questions that we feel like needed to be answered. Okay,
If
thank
I can
you.
add to that really quickly, one of the goals that I have not yet established, still being a staff of one a year later, is to get a website up, just as we're talking about showing all of the work that people are doing. So there is that hub, and HWMO has an amazing website that shares a lot of those meetings, community engagements, and activities that are happening. So hopefully, fingers crossed, in the next 6 months, I'll have a website that will encompass all the different work that's going on at the county levels as well as the state levels to include our public-private partners.
Councilmember Okimoto.
Thank you, Chair. Aloha and good afternoon. I had a question for you and probably HFD, and this is along the lines of what Committee Vice Chair Kiana mentioned with the private landowners. We did mention one specifically today, but just in general, because I know that from my understanding, the military, I think all branches of government, our local government, the city, HFD uses some KS lands and probably other private lands to train and do trainings. I'm guessing that's also the same for the state, I don't know. But what is the relationship in making sure that those properties that we're training on for our public safety agencies are maintained while we're dealing with our city-owned properties as well as, I guess, the state, and then trying to educate our local residents? What are the practices with those private landowners that are maybe, I'm not sure if we're leasing or we're borrowing lands from them to do some of our trainings, our public safety trainings?
I am not there yet, so I'm going to have to defer to Chief Ito, but I know at a state level, we do typically use our own lands for that. We do have good training with, like, I know it's not here, but PTA over on the Big Island, they're actually doing a huge exercise on Friday, tomorrow, cross-training. So there's usually that good relationship, but for as far as Honolulu County,
Yeah, that might be a question for our local department. Aloha, good afternoon, Chief Ito.
Good afternoon again. Keith Ito, HFD. To get it, you're asking about how we incorporate training on private landowners.
Well, after Councilmember Kiana brought up that KS wasn't here, and I think I understand that we do have the island uses a lot of KS lands, or some, to do trainings, not just our own city properties. So in doing so, when we're talking about wildfire mitigation, and making sure that our properties are safe, and we're trying to educate the residents, what are we doing with these partners that we're using their properties as well?
Okay, thanks for the question. So regarding Kamehameha schools specifically, we have
any others, I don't know, yeah.
To
I
start
just
off
thought
with
of that after that was brought
we
up.
have a right of entry that we do use their properties for helicopter air operations. We do it for rescue as well as other things. DHHL offers some lands, and all the larger landowners, PVT landfill in Nanakuli, we do some recruit training, non-live fire on their properties. So those are all ROEs that we use. That's about what I can say for private landowners and training.
Do we keep track of what they're doing while we are trying to make sure that our city properties we're cutting down, the brush and making sure that we're not a fire hazard? Do we have an agreement with the private companies or the private organizations that we're using their lands as well?
Oh, I see. So we don't really do any mitigation work on their properties. Like, we don't cut shrubs
I guess my question is, what is being done to address that, since it's not our property?
Gotcha.
Since we're not the ones to go in and do it, but we can do it on our city property, we can educate residents, but what are we doing with the private landowners whose properties we're probably using to train?
So if you're asking about large landowners, we do the once a year. Actually, we haven't done it for about a year and a half. We have that large landowner webinar, the 3-part webinar, and we address mitigation concerns in that way. But that's about the extent that we do the education side for the large landowners. I know I get invited once in a while to talk about to another large landowner consortium, but that's really limited.
So has there historically been concerns where, I know that we can't go in and tell them, but we're encouraging them, or we're asking them, or do they just take care of their properties and we don't have to worry?
What comes to mind at the moment is DHHL has been doing a proactive role. I just met with them last week. So Nanakuli Ranch, they're going from Farrington Highway up to 9th Road. They're cutting a 20-foot fire break area, and also trying to get the community to be involved in taking care of the other side of that, that fire break. They're also doing the other side of it on the Haleakala side. They're cutting some fire breaks in that area. That's what I would know for the.
Okay, I think it's
right now.
important. You know, a couple of years ago, we had the big one in my district, and one of the main things that, I think that wasn't actually never, I shouldn't say resolved, but one of the big questions at the end is, oh, whose property is this? And so sometimes part of the property where the fire was federal, part of it was state. And so I just want to make sure that we're doing what we can when it's properties out of our control, because we're the ones answering the call. In that case, we actually had federal and I think the National Guard, but Army helped out a lot because the fire was so big in Mililani, Malka, for our local department to just take care of it themselves. But at the end of the day, we're wondering, well, whose property was it? Why was their brush overgrown? You know, so I want to make sure that we're doing all that we can, working with our partners in the event that there's a fire, and we have to have an answer for where the fire started, who's responsible for it, whose land it is.
That is a very big concern of ours. From what. If it starts on federal, burning onto state, into county, and who's
or private,
responsible?
yeah,
Private,
yeah.
Correct. Hopefully, SMM's not cross county, but her new state coordinating group will address some of those concerns. I think she has one tomorrow, so it'll be kickoff tomorrow.
Okay.
So hopefully we can have a better answer in the near future.
Okay, I look forward to future hearings. This is a very important, and we're passionate about it, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Council, if I can add to that just to kind of help, I think some of that might have been where you're going with enforcement. And currently, statewide in general is largely complaint-based versus proactive, just based off of staffing and trying to identify those areas of specificity. And I know Honolulu Fire Battalion, Fire Prevention, they're working on administrative policies using best practices to help develop that WUI code and vegetation management code to make it accessible. And I can attest that statewide, one of the biggest asks of help that we need is when it comes to these enforcement and citation issues where we do have problems, is for the passion and care to be carried from that citation level at the fire department through the court systems. It's typically a nationwide problem. For some reason, prosecutors don't want to touch fire code. And we get stuck there. So a lot of times we want to do the right thing and issue citations and require corrections, whether it's state lands, county, federal, private landowners. But we get to a point where if they're not taken on by the court systems to help continue that legal process, our hands are very tied to what we can and can't do.
Okay, thank you. So just to clarify, you said you have, somebody goes out from your one-man team to go out and enforce. Who's enforcing this?
Well, this is like each fire department. So Honolulu Fire Department
Okay.
is reactive. For me, it's like if they have a question, especially if it's on state lands, like a lot of the schools or others that are adjacent to county or private property, they call and I'll go out and help them out. So,
Okay. Thank you, Fire Marshal. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chair.
Councilmember Kiana, you had a question? Okay. Oh, Councilmember Tupola.
Yeah, I just wanted to welcome Director Collins. He's here from DEM. I don't know if you had anything to add, but the next two organizations are private. So if you had any government comments, is that okay, Chair?
Perfect.
I figured he walked in for a reason, so.
Director Collins?
Good afternoon, Council. Thanks for having me. I did not plan on being here, but I was called over by our partners, and so I thought I'd stop in a little bit. I hear there's some questions maybe about the Mayor's Wildfire Preparedness Working Group, and that is one that we co-lead with HFD, and so I'm happy to try to answer any questions you have. I can tell you that since I got here, we've been through a process of revitalizing that and giving it renewed interest in renewed focus and unity of effort. And so we have developed a written strategic plan. It's gone through a couple iterations and updates over the past year since we came in. We meet quarterly, by the way. And so we are down to a final draft that on our next meeting, which I don't even have that date, I apologize, but on our next meeting, we'll be utilizing, or we'll be adopting, formally adopting that strategic plan, and it outlines the, I think 10 different areas where we plan to really focus our efforts, not only us and HFD, of course, but everybody that sits on the wildfire group in a collaborative manner, working with all the different departments in City and County of Honolulu and some state departments to do these efforts that are outlined in the plan.
Yeah, thank you for that. I don't think we knew that. I didn't know you guys were meeting quarterly. I didn't know the plan was about to be adopted. So that's all good information. So upon the adoption of the plan, you guys will then, I guess, share it with the council, suggest maybe policy and funding initiatives?
Happy to do that, absolutely. And there are some things in there that would be talking about what the fire marshal was talking about in terms of some things we want to look at in terms of the ordinances and so forth that to help mitigate wildfire.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councilmember, you wanna ask Director Collins a question?
No, I'm just pleased. I thought that that's what this hearing was going to be about, whether it'd been finished or not. I just wanted to know if there was even a plan being developed. I don't think that was clear to me, so it's clear now. We look forward to when it's completed and to have a more robust discussion of how we could kokokua, both policy-wise as funding. But I greatly appreciate that the State Fire Marshal was here because we cannot do it alone. And you guys have a lot of acreage, all of the different state agencies. And, you know, we're not even talking about the federal government, about 400,000 acres. They have kuleana. They have their own fire departments. And at the appropriate time, we need to ensure that they are part of the landscape. I think at the end of the day, Councilmember Tupola and I were saying, our communities just don't know, right, who to call. So they call us, and sometimes we don't know. So the better informed we are just about what is happening, we can better inform our communities. They want to feel safe. They want to feel that they are doing everything possible and our government is looking after them. But because there's a lot of private interests involved, they're scared. Because who's looking after them? Who's holding them accountable for fire breaks? They don't know. And that's, we're just trying to seek clarity here. So greatly appreciate you coming, taking the time to let us know, and looking forward to when the report is completed.
Yeah, thank you, and we'll be happy to get something scheduled with you and bring that plan and let everybody see it and get it out to all the council members.
Absolutely, okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to our next presenter.
Good afternoon. I'm Elizabeth Pickett. I'm co-executive director of Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization. I love the questions that you've been asking. I actually wanted to make myself available to answer them, maybe rather than do my presentation here. But we've been working closely with city and county folks to work on that strategic plan that came up. And in large part, I think I can answer some questions proactively, which is just that the questions you're asking are really important and they're statewide. And we, as an organization, we're a nonprofit, we've been working on wildfire exclusively, full-time on wildfire for 26 years. And we were founded because our land managers, our fire departments, our forestry folks, and conservation scientists and others were noticing that fire was increasing in Hawaii 26 years ago. And they looked around to see who was working on those kind of issues, especially with fuel breaks, water resources, community education, home hardening, yard work, and working with private and public folks to get all that work done, because wildfire is one of those things that isn't just one agency or one party. It actually goes all across the system. There has to be efforts taken by everyone who works on land and water, folks who work with community, and folks who do fire response. So there's a lot that needs to happen concurrently. And there was no agency that actually has jurisdiction over all those kinds of things. So we're a nonprofit that was formed as a boundary spanning organization to work on all those parts and pieces. And your questions about large landowners is really important because we have work to do within our built environment. We have work to do to educate homeowners on the work that they need to do around their homes and yards. And then there's also the larger land areas that are unmanaged, and then we have to protect our native forest so they don't burn because they won't come back after they burn. So this is kind of a summit to see public and private issue. And there are programs from our nonprofit working in partnership with our fire department, with state forestry, and now with the state fire marshal and many other, and emergency management, civil defense folks, in order to cover all of those topics. So there are mitigation assistance programs to help large landowners learn about mitigation best practices, and then we work with them to write grants to then get funding to do those projects. And we have a whole spectrum of large landowner involvement or engagement. We have land-rich and cash-poor folks who are private, who are good stewards and want to do fire mitigation, but they don't necessarily have the cash to do it. We have folks that we can't even get in touch with who are sitting on lands that are not managed. And over time, I think we need to work on policy to address those things. And then we have large landowners who have stepped up and are really putting funding toward it. So I know Kamehameha Schools was mentioned, but actually they are assisting in funding the Firewise program, which assists community members. And they have been bringing folks together on the large landowner side so that they can figure out how they can support each other to do mitigation, especially where it crosses boundaries. So I do have some slides that I can show, but I just wanted to talk about all of that because it kind of frames up a lot of the questions that you were asking. So when we're thinking about fire, just so that you know, the reason why Hawaii has a increasing wildfire issue is because what we see with fire has everything to do with what's going on with people, climate, and fuels. And in Hawaii, all those things are leaving us with a recipe for increasing wildfire conditions and hazard. So we have 99% of our fires are started by people, mostly accidentally, because we have not caught up to the level of fire risk that has grown in around us. We are just now getting to where folks are really aware, and we have broad interest in this topic. We felt like we were shouting from the rooftops for a long time, but now it's catching up where we have to be careful with our campfires. We can't drive on dry grass. There's a lot of things that we need to do to prevent ignitions. We have a climate cycle where we have heavy rains and then it dries out, and we have dry periods, and so we have fire risk during those dry periods. And then we have very combustible landscapes and very combustible towns and communities. And nowhere in the state is immune to this. We have fire ignitions being caused by people statewide on all islands, Malcolm Mackay, Leeward, Windward, you name it. So under the right conditions, our whole state is at risk. And because this issue has increased exponentially in just less than one generation, we have a lot of work to do across the system and policies and funding to catch up with that. The good news is we can do a lot about it, and there are programs in each of these areas. So we need to work on reducing ignitions. We need to work on community awareness of safe fire behaviors and campfires and cooking fires. We need to better manage our land and our fuels, and that is something that you brought up. But I do want to mention, we have the work to do on the landscape, but more and more with wind-driven fires, our built environment and our communities and our towns are also at risk because that's another type of fuel that burns. I mean, Lahaina was a structure-to-structure fire and yard-to-yard. And so this is why we have community programs, because there is this myth that we need to bust that everything fire needs to be fire department. There's actually so much we each need to do. So the community education portion is really important because actually the science is telling us that the most important thing to do is the 5 feet around our own houses. That is what is catching homes on fire in these conflagrations. So that education needs to get out there, and we could really use your help to get it out to constituents because we can all take care of 5 feet. So the vulnerability in our homes and yards is really concentrated right around, and we can rake, we can sweep, we can do all the things necessary to harden our homes, and that's what the community education programs are really meant to inspire. And then, of course, we need everyone prepared so that if there is an event, they know how to evacuate and what to do. So we have programs for all of that. We have resident education programs. May is Community Wildfire Preparedness Month, and so we're going to roll out all those workshops. They're Zoom, they're in neighborhoods. We have it statewide. We have Our organization has FireWise Communities coordinators on every island. So you have your own here on Oahu. We have the FireWise Communities program. So when people are ready to move beyond their own house and yard, they actually have these programs available to support whole neighborhoods, which some of you know about. And we hustle funding to help them to take care of projects that are sort of beyond them in terms of cost, to take care of hazard trees or communal areas, have chipper days for yard waste or green waste removal days, things like that. We really raise funds to support folks to take care of that, and that's the FireWise program, so you can offer that to your communities. And then we have community wildfire protection plans. We have all these coordinating groups. We have large landowner education groups. And so what we've tried to do as a nonprofit is work with all of our partners to offer education, training, and support to take action in each of those different areas that it needs to, that we need so that the whole thing functions. And that's why the working group for your city and county is so important, because we need planning department, we need board of water supply. There's just so many people we need on this, and everyone is only recently learning that there's a role for them to play and sort of thinking through what their agency needs to do to play a role. Because that myth was so pervasive that everything fire was fire department, and that's just not how it works. So that's all I have, but we have a Hawaiian artist from Kaneohe who drew this image that we said, what would it look like if we got this right when it comes to wildfire preparedness and prevention, and this is what she made. And so we're just showing it to everybody, but we're finally at this stage where people are asking good questions and all of us are catching up and doing work. So I thank you for your questions, and I'd be happy to take more.
Awesome, okay. Members' questions? Councilmember Tupala?
Thanks, Chair. Aloha, Elizabeth. Thank you for being with us. You know, I've done various meetings with your organization. I've hosted 3 town halls in my community for your organization. There are 2 gentlemen, Lou and Max. Shout out to them because they actually got our community FireWise certified in our neighborhood. We did have a town hall recently where one of your staff members said that we were awarded $9,000, so we went and got a quote for it. And then just last week we were told we didn't get it. And there's no rhyme or reason. We were all kind of pushing for that because we were told like this would be kind of like the advantage of being FireWise certified is that we could apply for funding to get like brush like cut around our area. And this is above and beyond just the homeowners' responsibilities. We already have tons of homeowners participating. So what exactly is the process? Because we were told you guys got money from the state legislature, that because we're the first West Side wildfire certified FireWise community that we would get some funding. Did we miss a deadline? Is there some type of application? Because in the town hall, she didn't say anything. She just said, you guys have already been pre-selected. Please get a quote from a contractor. So I do think the work you guys do is good, but I'm trying to see how it hits the ground and makes the impact. So is there...
you know, I'm gonna have to check on that, because the only time where we end up not being able to offer the money is if there wasn't like permits in place, or if it wasn't, we didn't have permission, or there's something like that that we probably have to sort through. That's not the program, the piece of the program that I run, but I'm happy to work that out with you, because we do have funding that we hustle in order to make it available to communities, and usually it's pretty smooth, so we can work on that. We'll figure it out.
That'd be great. And I do think that one of the other things that we got from your organization was FireWise certified signs. So I believe they came in the mail. We do not know what mailbox it went to. We're hoping someday we can look at the signs, put them up. It's just like trying to get all of this to actually hit the ground and like affect the community is kind of the part where I'm at. We did a lot of the education. We've been telling the neighbors, we've been having meetings, but trying to get like the funding going, or actually trying to get the impact of the change, because all the other cleanups that we've done, I've gotten all of it donated for the community. So there has been no private entity that's funded it per se, or your organization. So we would like to access that. You know, as you said, Kamehameha Schools might be paying for it. I don't know who's paying for it.
That's the whole thing, is we're a nonprofit that has only ever existed by selling chili and t-shirts, because this was not an important matter to almost anybody. We've never really had state or county funding ever. We've hustled, we've got private donations, we've got Forest Service funding for all these years. This is actually the first, we're not even a year into having state funding for the first time. So the FireWise program is actually a program from the National Fire Protection Agency at the national level, and it never comes with funding. It is really meant to be a ground up. We will support you with the technical expertise, but we want communities to understand that they have a responsibility around their own homes and yards and in their neighborhoods. We've tried to sweeten the deal and to entice folks to be involved by finding whatever funding we can. Like all our chili cook-offs went toward the fire waste programs in small batches a bit. So this is the first time we actually have like even 9,000 at a time to offer. So we're excited about that, but it's still growing and blossoming. But again, we don't want to set it up where communities think it's still up to somebody else to find the money or to do the work. It's really, wildfire risk is something that we're all facing every day in our homes and towns, and we all have to figure out how to do it and not rely on the outside. But we do try to hustle to make it a little bit easier, because sometimes when the money question is off the table, people have an easier time gathering to decide how to spend it. So in the early days, that was the best we could do to get folks enticed. So pre-Lahaina, it took us 12 years to get 16 communities. And then since Lahaina, now we have 60. And so even as our own organization is kind of staffing up and figuring out how to support that, it's all still kind of blossoming as we speak and turning into something. But I do know the funds are there, so we can work on figuring out the piece that you mentioned.
I mean, the funds were never the motivation. I would say most of the guys on the west side know already that we are in danger at any given point in time of heat, of extra brush that hasn't been trimmed. I think for my community, if I'm being honest, the only incentive that people really had was that perhaps we might have less insurance from our association. So he looked into it, our association guy, and if we get this certification and if we do all the hazard mitigation, which we worked with HFD to do, then that might drop our insurance rates. And then people were interested. So I will say that it wasn't necessarily because we wanted someone to pay to cut the grass. We can cut grass, we can like organize all of that. But I do appreciate the work that has been done thus far. I know you guys are a nonprofit, and congratulations on state funding. I would say because you guys are the entity that actually hits the community, you know, as far as like the interaction with the education, that's probably the most influential, more than some of the plans we've talked about before, because this is the stuff that makes sense to community members. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for that. Can I touch on the insurance piece for a minute? Sure. Is there time? Across the whole country, everybody's dealing with insurance retention, especially after wildfire events that just bankrupted so many insurance carriers. And so as we're moving forward, one thing I didn't all the way mention is that we are building out a home assessment program. We had it already, but it was, again, underfunded, and it was just a pilot program. But the idea is that if we can do a pre-assessment and then folks can take action around their homes, and then do a post-assessment and confirm that they did that. We're working on finding some kind of cost share funding to support folks to do that work, because the other piece of this equation is that as we build new developments, they need to be wildfire safe from the start. And we can do that with our planning departments, and we can do that through ordinance. And Kauai actually just had the first ordinance of that type in the state in history. And so now Kauai's moving forward on any new developments need to be wildfire safe from the start. Because what happens is then our Fireways program is all that's available to try to help people retrofit unsafely designed communities. So we need to do that better moving forward. But the other piece is we have all this existing housing stock. We have all these existing residents who maybe can't afford to retrofit and do that sort of work. And in the future, retaining insurance is going to depend on having your home sort of ember resistant and non-combustible, et cetera. And so part of the Fireways program, it was an offshoot of it. We created this program when people got certified to do home walk-around educational assessments. And now we're working with insurance carriers and folks at the national level to shore all of that up so that when people go through that process and they get their home walk-around, they can do some work and then have some cost share assistance to try to get that work done. But that's almost where everyone in the whole country is at, trying to develop that kind of program. And so I just wanted to let you know, just for your awareness, that that is in the works, but we're probably still a year or more away from really being able to roll that out. But it's the insurance retention that is the real driver behind that.
Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome. Councilmember Kiaina.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for coming. I wanted to say that I wish I had been in contact with you guys, when I first came into office. I was able to meet with Nani Barreto, and I'm looking forward to working with your team on the home assessment program, getting the word out to our communities, the wildfire and drought lookout campaign, the Firewise Communities program, and the Community Wildfire wildfire protection planning process that you have. I want one for Windward Oahu, and I will figure out, hopefully you have sufficient funding. If not, I need to know the dollar amount and how to secure it for you, which leads me into my question with regard to your funding. I know that you're now getting some funding. Can you explain to me the current apparatuses that currently exist for state and city funding? For example, do you apply for grants and aid in both fronts? Are the current mechanisms in place sufficient for them to contract out to you? Or do we need to have specific language? Maybe, we can't name a nonprofit, but in ordinance or state statute, we could give the relevant agencies the authority to contract for fire mitigation. I'm just trying to see how we could help without just going through the typical application process whereby these agencies, our first responders, would be able to have a funding stream for you, and whether it be for you or other stakeholders to provide. So tell me a little bit more about your funding. I'm more interested in city and state at the moment.
So the only city or county that we have any sort of funding coming from or have in the past has been Hawaii County. I don't know what the mechanism would look like here. For them, we're on their special services contract list, and so through that, because we provide a unique service, we've been able to have an easier time providing some of those contract services. We have talked about it with emergency management and fire department, but we've never actually set anything up yet, so I don't actually know my way around that system well enough to know how to navigate that. We applied many times for state grant and aid, and we got it twice in 26 years. So I think we're misunderstood as an organization, because there was a lot of assumption that this work happens from our response agencies, and that's just not the case. And so I think we could use some help trying to figure out what that could look like.
What about Honolulu? Did you ever submit an application to grants and aid for Honolulu?
No, we haven't.
Okay, well, I think you should, but
Okay.
I feel that because of your value, we need to figure out that solution. So please work with us on that. My last question goes back to the private landowners, and I know you guys are working with everybody, but Councilmember Tupola and I were just talking. There are certain big landowners, right? DLNR and Kamehameha to start with, right? Federal government, they could better coordinate the 400,000 acres. But I guess I'm just wondering, in you're working with everyone, I hope that you guys are strategizing, because if you just deal with some of these, prioritize the big landowners, you're talking about a lot of acreage, right? And so do you have a database, for example, like the top 10 landowners in the state, and break it down according to government versus private?
Yeah, that's really easy to do. We definitely use we have a landowner map that we work with. In 2018, we met with every landowner who owned 1% of the island or more on every island across the state, to understand what they were doing for fuels management, how often, and what would be needed to support that work to grow even more. That report is on our website. It rolled out in 2019, and then COVID hit, and then everything got weird. And so now it's time to sort of update that, but that's a really good basis to see what acreage, what kind of land management they're doing. In large part, state lands, it's very complicated, because many of those agencies, whether it's DHHL or DLNR, they're underfunded agencies, so it's a huge budgetary issue to get them the capacity they need to do the work we'd love to see them do. And more, I think there's getting attention to this matter, and they're getting some of that funding, but it might not be permanent or guaranteed moving forward. Our organization was contracted to work with every state department to come up with their wildfire action strategy, and that's Department of Health, Department of Education, everybody. And each of them seems to be capacity limited on how much of that land management work that they can do. And state forestry is funded to only, like DOFA, it's funded to work and protect forest reserves and other areas, but there's a lot of assumption that they can just manage all the land. But again, there's capacity and jurisdiction limitations. So little by little, we are starting to unravel where we're stuck and trying to solve that. But it's a beast of an issue because none of our systems or agencies or policies, nothing was ever organized to address this issue. And I think right now we're all stewarding this moment and trying to figure out how to get to where we need to get to.
But to me, that underscores your value because you understand what we're dealing with. So I just want to commend you and your organization and thank you for hanging in there. Maybe now the light will be shown on you as it's clearly evident by your participation today. So I just want to let you know that I want to do everything to learn more about what you do and to help our communities and to help you with regard to navigating those, the funding streams.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Thank you, Chair. Not so much questions, but as you were talking, Elizabeth, my short-term memory resurrected itself. And so I remember meeting you in the community. I do want to thank you. Just for discussion, not really questions, while you're up here, because I know that you've been such a big advocate for making sure that our communities are safe when you're talking about fire-wise. So thank you for being here. And I do want to thank you, Chair and Vice Chair, for having this discussion today before HECO comes up, because as I sat here, I did think, we have, because of the floods, I feel like we've kind of forgotten about the danger of fires. And I know HFD, I saw in their social media, they started campaigning again for awareness of that. And I thought that's really important as we go throughout this summer season and what's following to be aware of that. So I just wanted to thank you. I appreciate all that you're doing in the communities. I'm thankful for that the committee was able to bring the private, public, nonprofit sectors together to discuss this. And as I think about, again, I think because we've been so focused on the storms lately, I don't want to forget about the fires. And it made me remember the one that happened recently in my community. So I want to thank all of the stakeholders, all of the partners who had helped. I'm grateful for our fire department. They did a really stellar job. The community was a little worried. I think the discussion that we have to continue having is, what are we doing again to prevent this from happening? So as we thank, I just want to say I'm thankful for all of you and your continued efforts in education, in prevention. Thank you to the fire department who was able to be there for my community. I know that you'll be there in the future. I hope so, at least. And we want to make sure, as was stated earlier today or in this hearing, that we can support you the way that we are able to, whether it's policy or resources, because all of our communities will be impacted in one way, shape, or form. And education has been something that you've been advocating for, as well as all of our fire department has been doing that as well. I know the state's also doing the same thing. So we want to make sure that we're supportive of that. And as we go throughout the budget process this year and in future years, that we're providing the resources that you guys need. So thank you, Chair. Thank you so much.
I got a couple questions. I think, I'd like to see in the next couple of weeks, DEM and the fire department come and do a presentation. I think this brings light to a lot of things that I think all of our districts are concerned about. How many neighborhoods, you mentioned you went from 16 to 60. So how many neighborhoods are officially maybe fire-wise certified?
Probably 52 or something like that, and the other ones are going through the process. But I do want to mention, to be acknowledged as a Firewise community, you've met certain standards for doing projects and putting man hours in or human hours in, and acknowledging you have some risk and you've done some education. It doesn't mean you're all the way there yet.
Right.
Yeah, so you're just in the program.
I want to make sure that we're transparent and people watching this, they can understand now how many neighborhoods statewide.
Oh, so that is statewide.
Yes.
I have to grab my phone and look up just Oahu, but it's a portion
just
of that.
maybe Oahu then. Okay, yeah.
Oh, I have to look.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
My guess is like, if I guess 10 or something, but we have to look because I'm not tracking the numbers. Yeah.
So how many homes receive assessments in the last year?
Say that again?
How many homes have received a Firewise assessment from your organization?
Oh, so we've had 400 statewide.
Okay.
But it's a very small, and it's a voluntary program where we make it available, and it just hasn't been super utilized. But some of that was because we trained up community ambassadors to do those certifications, and we didn't get a lot of interest from Oahu yet. We've been working with Honolulu Fire Department to sort of grow that program here.
Yeah, no, that's why this is important. I mean, 400 homes, there's a million people live here. So what percentages you think of residents have an evacuation plan?
Not enough.
Okay. That's why this is important, you know, for Councilmember Kiana, and I think everybody in the city council, so that we can, we've seen that we need to fix a lot of things, and the only time sometimes that sticks out is when bad happen. And, we want to do a lot of prevention prior to that. So, any more questions, council members? Okay, go
Can I ahead. Just add one thing? Some of that, you can see up in the top left-hand corner, there's a Ready, Set, Go. It's hard to see because I just put a big smattering here. And then the orange one next to it is Wildfire and Drought Lookout. I want to call your attention to those because the Ready, Set, Go program, we're rolling out workshops because it's about to be dry season, and it's downloadable online, but it's all the things you need to do around your home and yard, all the things you need to do to pay attention as the season changes or during a wildfire incident that's set. And Go is reminding people to evacuate early. Don't wait until you're told you can get out. You don't need to be part of traffic. You don't need to be scared. Last minute evacuations are a huge reason why we have traffic, and in other places where there have been fatalities, it's because of late evacuation. So Go means leave early. So you can provide that to all of your communities right away. It's downloadable. We have workshops coming up. They're all Zoom, they're whatever. So I just want to let you know about that. And then in June, for dry season, all of us, there's 35 different agencies collectively that put out the Wildfire and Drought Lookout, and I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. Wildfire and Drought Lookout campaign, and we have ready-made social media messages. We have all sorts of materials you can blast out in newsletters. We have like tip of the week, tip number 41, that kind of stuff. It's all ready-made in a package, and what we've never had is funding to push out that program, so we just send it everywhere and hope everybody pushes it out to their constituents. So I just want to invite you to use those resources and be a part of that so we can get these messages out far and wide.
Awesome. Okay, July 25th, mark your calendar. We have a Kiki and Kupuna Fair out in my district.
Got it.
Thank you. All right, Hawaiian Electric.
Aloha, Chair Tulba, Vice Chair Keaina, and members of the Public Safety Committee and Economy. My name is Kurt Tsui from Hawaiian Electric. Mahalo for having us share information from Hawaiian Electric's wildfire mitigation plan. And so in relation to what the other presenters share, the focus of our plan is public safety, and specifically reducing the potential for ignitions in relation to wildfires. And so for our plan, it really is in 4 key areas. And so shown up on this slide here are risk areas, red being high wildfire risk, yellow being medium. A lot of the work mentioned in our plan is focused on these areas on Oahu. So similar approach for Maui County and for Hawaii Island. But those areas involve hardening and redesigning the grid through grid upgrades, significant amount of pole replacements and power line upgrades. We're installing, as we speak, along the Waianae coast, what we call covered conductors or covered power lines. And so this prevents the potential for sparking or ignition from the power lines if winds blow and they tend to sometimes touch each other. We're also looking at spans for strategic undergrounding of power lines, and also replacing equipment to further prevent ignition. So things like fuses on poles, transformers. We're installing more modernized technology that do not cause sparks when fuses or anything blow and things of that nature. In the area of situational awareness, much along the lines of what was shared by the fire department, deploying weather stations so that we better understand humidity levels and wind speeds, especially during the red flag warnings and those types of events as we head into summer. And we are making significant investments in artificial intelligence-assisted cameras, and also the deployment of what we call spotters to perform visual inspections in the field during high wildfire risk conditions. And so all of this is to improve our real-time monitoring for fire weather and to give us early identification for the potential of ignitions. Those cameras have been working very well. The AI, what's neat about it is it will notify Fire Department, Hawaiian Electric, and other partners, as soon as there's any potential for things like smoke or fire that the cameras are able to pick up, and we make this available to the community, to the public. So if anybody's interested, or if you hear about a wildfire, you can actually go onto the Alert West system and see the cameras and what they're monitoring. You can look at the view planes from different angles. And all this does is it gives us information and to better coordinate with our first responder and emergency management partners. We now have at Hawaiian Electric what's called a watch office, so staff that's monitoring these conditions 24/7. We now have a meteorologist full-time on staff to help us understand weather forecast information from National Weather Service and all of these real-time instruments that are being deployed in the field. And this is all to help us with real-time decision-making in the event of fire weather and emergency conditions. When we talk about operational practices as one of the key focus areas, we are significantly increasing our inspections of our electrical assets in these high and medium wildfire risk areas. Lots more effort and budget being dedicated to vegetation management. So we're hiring more contractors to perform trimming of trees and clearing of vegetation where we have our equipment. And many of you have heard we are deploying what we call fast trip settings. So in these high and medium areas, our circuit sensitivity is more sensitive. So when disturbances occur, power will shut off, but that's so that we can deploy crews immediately to perform inspections to check those circuits for safety. And as our last line of defense, we have what's known as a public safety power shutoff program. Again, this is purely for safety, but we make these decisions very carefully. We're very mindful about the impacts that this has on communities. But it really is using all the advanced weather monitoring that we have. So these decisions are not made lightly, but it's a combination of having wind gusts above 45 miles an hour, drought conditions paired with low humidity levels below 45%. So it's really those specific criteria in order for us to de-energize power for safety. And then that's done in coordination with emergency management and HFD and other partners. And so we actually practice this coordination in our policies and our plans annually, and we make improvements. And then most importantly, as HWMO and other partners said, the stakeholder and community partnerships have been critical. We've been learning a lot from other utilities that have similar wildfire mitigation programs and localizing it, making it specific to Oahu and our neighbor islands. We're also working very closely with all of the emergency management partners and first responders, government agencies, researchers. We're leveraging a lot of the research that HWMO and UH has been doing to perform these risk models and risk assessments. And of course, just partnership with community-based organizations and getting better connected to help prepare communities. And lastly, it was just in regards to what I'm just going to kind of leave this with the council, but just in terms of the progress that was made in 2025 in all of those areas, you can see a significant amount of pole replacements and the installation of grid modernization equipment to reduce ignitions on the system. And we spent about $130 million last year on these upgrades. And we're going to continue making those upgrades. PUC just approved this wildfire mitigation plan and to the amount of $350 million through 2027. So this work will continue as we expand the partnership and coordination. And then lastly, Councilmember Tulba, you mentioned those community events and preparedness events. We really want to work in close tandem with our communities and our partners to prepare not just for wildfires, but all the emergencies and being prepared for the potential for extended power outages, as we saw in Kona lows and other types of incidents that may occur. Not having power, making sure we're engaging with our vulnerable populations in terms of communities that may need extra help, or portions of the community that may need extra help, and how do we help them prepare for these emergencies. But with that, I'll open up for any questions from the council.
Sir, any questions for Councilmember Tupola?
Thank you, Chair. Aloha, Kurt. How are you? Aloha, Shannon. Thank you guys for being here. I want to thank Hiko for being in constant contact with me and updating me on things, especially as emergencies happen. We are always getting texts and calls. This first page I believe the map on the right side is indicating the PSPS areas, is it?
Oh, so it's the red areas on that map, Councilmember?
Well, there's just no legend to it. So the
sorry.
yellow is what, and the red is the power shutoff areas, right?
High risk in red, medium risk in yellow.
Oh, okay, okay. And then in regards to the wood pole replacements and upgrades, you have 709. Is this island-wide? Is it heavily in the PSPS areas?
So it would be, these are in total for the or the high and medium wildfire risk areas. So the red and yellow areas are where this has occurred. And in your district, council member, we're also going to be launching what we're calling a critical pole replacement program.
Oof.
So that's like steel poles, and to prevent the potential for poles falling in the event of high winds or fires. And
Yeah.
so that's also underway.
Not to be greedy, but is the 709 poles in my district?
Most
Okay,
are.
thank you. Appreciate it. I definitely think that whole Farrington corridor is kind of problematic. And I do think that a lot of like the wires are not necessarily you guys. It's HECO, HELCO, I don't know what else, everybody. So it's drooping and it's falling. So if we can get some of those poles, especially lines that are not even active anymore, removed, is that part of this whole plan?
It is. So working with our telecommunications partners, so that line that council member is referring to are those thicker, lower hanging cables on the poles. So the combination of telecommunications providers, but that's a part of it too, is by working on loading of the poles. The good thing about the steel pole installations is it does increase the capacity of the poles to carry that equipment, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we're in close coordination with them to manage public safety.
And then I know in the past, and in this chart that you're showing us, is this progress over 1 year?
So this is just 2025. We've actually done a significant amount of work in 2024 as well.
Okay.
But this is when we launched a more aggressive focus on implementing this wildfire mitigation plan.
And then in the past, you guys did some community meetings. I know it was at LCC in Waianae and some other areas. I did offer some assistance there. I'm not sure how helpful I was. I can still be more helpful. But what is you guys' plans for this year as far as continuing? Is there a few community meetings, or what is your thoughts?
So continuing as thank you, Councilmember, for your recommendations. We are going to be doing more engagement specific to the newer activities that we're doing, like the pole replacements and the covered conductors. We're still going to be out at all opportunities for promoting preparedness, community preparedness. So we're going to be doing a lot of community preparedness events along the Waianae Coast and other communities. And more so along the lines of that PSPS program, getting people signed up for alerts and making sure if they have medical needs, letting us know about that as well.
Yeah, if you do already have dates scheduled in places, just share it with me. I'll help to push it out. I do know that the more people that learn about it, and we might have to teach it like 12 times before we all remember what to do. I do think it's important, and in any way possible, I'll support you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Dos Santos Tams, is it okay we extend about 5 minutes? Thank you. Okay, so GCS will start as soon as we get through with this committee. Any more questions for Councilmember
Just a quick
Kiano?
question. Thank you so much. I'm assuming in tandem with all of the other previous testimony, you concur that overall, all of the various stakeholders, including HECO, are better prepared to learn from the lessons of what happened in Maui, correct?
Absolutely.
And now I know that Councilmember Tupola has most of the telephone poles. I don't know if I should be jealous or not, but can I ask you with regard to underground connections? Where are we with regard to? I know it's very expensive, but do you guys have a strategy on when we could do that? Because I do know that other jurisdictions where they're actually island economies who are hit by typhoons all the time. They can't afford certain areas, including their hospitals, to be out of commission because it affects everybody, right? And every time they're making major improvements with all of the hundreds of millions of dollars coming down from the federal government, they make structural improvements. So I'm just wondering, where are underground utilities with regard to your long-term strategy for HECO?
Well, thank you for the question, Councilmember. We're actually going to be concluding an underground study sometime this year, so we'll be happy to share that with the council and come back to share the results of that study. But a lot of it will look at cost, as you mentioned, and ways to acquire funding for some of that cost. But in undergrounding long spans will be very challenging. So we're trying to be strategic in where those spans would make a difference in terms of impacting transportation and public safety.
yes.
So those would be prioritized as part of
Okay.
that study.
But do you have any now or no?
Well, it's currently ongoing, but that is one of the elements that's built into the plan in terms of once that study is complete, they will be dedicating funding towards that.
Can I ask, does the federal government or any of the DoD military installations have underground electricity?
So a lot of the DoD military installations have had their own systems, and so we're looking right now where we've acquired the Army's system, so they have an overhead system. It's a combination. The newer installations do some of them have underground, but the majority is overhead.
Oh, interesting. Okay, because I know it's important for them too, right? And then, as you said, the transportation is very important. So I'm just want to make sure that we're all working with all of the critical infrastructure in the whole state of Hawaii.
Yes.
I'm hoping that we can partner and think about how to share some of the funding costs for everything, because what happens off DoD lands also still helps them, is also important to them. So I would hope that similar to a lot of DoD programs where they actually have significant funding, right?
Yep.
That they can also look at how they could help Kokua non-DoD lands.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Okay, thank you, sir, appreciate it. We'll now proceed with in-person oral testimony in the council chambers. Clerks, do we have any in-person testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
How about online?
There are none, Chair.
Okay, all right. This ended up being a very good informational and gives us a lot of time to prepare. Fire department as well, DEM. So appreciate everyone's being here today, and we appreciate all the information. All right. Okay. Let me close this out properly. Okay, members, there being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.